Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rome Business Radio. My name is Roger Manus. We are coming to you from the Rome News Tribune, our studios here in downtown Rome, Georgia. And just to lay the groundwork for you here, what Rome Business Radio is all about is connecting people in Rome and Northwest Georgia to discuss business, share their stories, tell what they're about so they can inform you, the listener, about their businesses and how you can get in contact with them, but also just to grow more familiar with each other in a business community. So again, thank everybody for joining us. Our guests today are Stephen Bennett, a practicing attorney here in Rome. How are you doing, Stephen?
Doing great.
And we are also joined by TJ Cochran, a local country music musician. How are you doing, TJ?
I'm doing well.
Well, thank both of you guys for coming here. Now, this may seem like an eclectic mix, an attorney and a country music artist, but you both were also recently honored Best of Rome in the event held by the Rome News Tribune. So congratulations to both of you for that.
Thank you.
All right, Stephen, let's start with you, the attorney. Tell me a little bit about your practice and your background in law and what it is you focus on here in Rome.
I focus mainly three primary areas: personal injury, which consists mainly of automobile collisions. I also do domestic relations, which is divorces and custody actions. Also do a good bit of juvenile court work, which is there are two types there: delinquencies and dependencies.
So, TJ, are you paying attention? Because it sounds like there's a lot of fodder for country music in what he does every day.
Yeah. I'm going to get his number.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your background, TJ, and how you got into country music performing.
So it's a very long story, but I'll cut it real short. So I've been playing guitar, singing, that sort of thing since I was probably about 10 years old. Went to one guitar lesson, learned to play guitar myself after that. Wow. It wasn't up.
That in itself is impressive.
Yeah. Up until that point, I was pretty shy, and I'm still pretty shy as of today. I never played music in front of anyone at any type of venue up until 2018. It was around July. There's a place called MJ's in Rome. It's where the Opies used to be. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that.
Right.
So someone messaged me on Facebook, said, "Hey, I remember in high school you played guitar. Would you like to come play for us?" I thought, yeah. And I was like, when would you like me to come? She's like, "Well, we've got an opening Saturday night in 2 weeks if you'd like to do that." And I'm like, "Oh, man, I would love to, but I don't know how to play 4 hours worth of songs." So long story short, I wrote a ton of songs over my lifetime and posted stuff on Facebook. And one night my wife tends to not listen to me anymore. And one night in my kitchen, I started writing a song, and it was started with "Out of Style, Got No Lift on Your Truck," which makes absolutely no sense still today. Woke up the next morning and had about 700 shares on my Facebook page. It was a song I wrote called Rome, Georgia. And pretty much that inspired me to start playing in front of people and had the opportunity to travel around.
So it's kind of snowballed from there. You mentioned Rome, Georgia, which is again where we're broadcasting from. Stephen, you born and raised in Rome as well?
Floyd County, Pepperell High School graduate.
And law school?
John Marshall in Atlanta.
And so Rome just called you home to practice law?
Well, my father was a practicing attorney here, and I came in and joined in with him, and he's now wrapping up his practice and retiring, so it's just going to be me.
Any confusion with the last name and the Stevens and the Steve? How did y'all work all this out?
Well, we were both Steve up until the time that I graduated from law school, and then when we started sharing space, I had to become Stephen. He had dibs on Steve.
Yeah, I'm a junior, but you're not technically a junior. Y'all just share a name. TJ, you're a junior. That's what the J is for.
Yes.
T is for
Todd.
Okay, so Todd Jr. became TJ. You got into music, and this great lyric, you mentioned the song Rome, Georgia, that just kind of happened organically with your wife. Top left corner as a descriptive way of where Rome is located. How does these words and lyrics come to a songwriter?
Well, I'm not going to say I started the trend because no one would believe me, but I went to Pepperell High School as well. And I told my mom when I graduated, I said, "I'm getting a tattoo when I turn 18. She said, "No, you're not." And I said, "Yes, I am." So I went and seen a guy in Lindale, of all places, to get a tattoo, and got no one can see this, but I got a tattoo with the music symbol located in the top left corner where Rome is.
Right.
And everyone
it's on your left forearm for those listening.
And people said, "Why in the world would you get the state of Georgia tattooed on your arm?" And this has been 11 years ago. And I said, "I don't know. I just thought it looked cool when I play music around the world. People I can just point to my arm and say, this is where I'm from. And so now everyone has those on hats and everything, you know. But mine looked dumb back in the day. So.
We'll make sure we take a picture of that so that people who want to see it can go to the Rome Business RadioX Facebook page, which will accompany the podcast, so they can see the picture of it. But would you mind, you have your guitar here with us, would you mind giving us a little bit of Rome, Georgia? Just so people can get a little bit of taste of it, and they can see and listen to the entire thing on YouTube, correct?
Yeah, YouTube or any online platform that offers music, Apple Music, all that stuff.
It'd be TJ Cochran, Rome, Georgia. Just give us a little taste if you don't mind.
Out of style, got no lift on your truck. Z71, I take a girl across the line to a drive-in movie. Football's all that matters in this town. You rock on the state, that Lindale train will make your beep run late. And I'm from the top of the left corner, a little town called Rome, Georgia, where the lights come on at night. They might be blue, they might be white. You fall in love and you buy a lock. You marry your high school sweetheart, and everybody's got a reason to stay. And yeah, and I'm proud to be, and I'm proud to say that I'm from Rome, Georgia.
Very good.
Thank you.
Tough act to follow, Stephen. Okay. Stephen, can you do something from your latest album?
Yeah, key of E.
Yeah.
Key of E, all right.
Is that a key?
I don't know keys.
Oh, okay.
You can ask my band about that.
Well, that was fantastic. So again, YouTube, TJ Cochran, or any other platform to hear the rest of that and some other songs. We'll circle back around. You have pride in being from Rome, Georgia, and it manifested itself in song. Talk about, Stephen, your business relationship and having your practice here where you grew up as well. How special is that to you?
Well, it's been great. My family's all from Rome. They've been here since the turn of the century. Have many connections to many other families and businesses here in Rome, and it's just been a natural progression to stay here in Floyd County.
How long have you been practicing?
25 years now.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What makes a successful attorney?
I run into people every week that say, I should have been an attorney. I'm great at arguing. And I don't do much arguing in my practice. I think what makes a good attorney is probably two things. One, you have to be able to think quickly on your feet. And two, it's the art of compromise, or offering different ways to see things, because when you're having divorce negotiations or negotiating a car wreck case or something, you're trying to reach a compromise and you're trying to get what's best for your client. And that's not always going to court.
Right. So you're also kind of a counselor and therapist and lawyer all rolled into one, I guess, right? Kind of, sort of.
Well, whether you want to be or not, it would be nice just to be the lawyer. But when people come in with a divorce, this is next to losing a family member, it's probably the most stressful time in their life, and they want to tell you their story about what's going on and what they want, what their outcome that they want to get out of it is.
How can people find out about your practice or contact you?
Well, of course, my website, it's StephenVBennett.com. It has some general information about my practice. If people that are involved in automobile collisions, we have a brochure that if you'd like a copy of that, you can call my office. Phone number 706-235-0005. We'll be happy to send you a copy of that. It has some basic information, and if you'd like to after that, give us a call, and we'll either come to you or you can come to the office and we'll talk about your case.
All right. TJ, I asked him the question of what makes a successful attorney. What makes a successful singer-songwriter? When do you know that you've honed in on that jewel of a song that's ready to go?
I think if we all knew the answer to that, we'd probably be on the radio. So I wouldn't say I necessarily know the answer to that. What I always say is, and if anyone that listens to my music actually listens to the lyrics of my songs, I try not to write to be popular. I try to write from my heart. So every song that I write normally can associate with me in some sort of way.
Now you're married with a couple of kids, right?
Yes.
So it's got to put food on the table.
Yes.
So you work a job and you're pursuing this singer-songwriting performing dream. So you're a small businessman.
Yes.
So tell me what your perspective is about trying to run a business for yourself to get a career going like you want.
It's mainly just being dedicated, consistent, or I guess persistent. In the music business, you get told no a lot, and I don't even know how to answer this question, to be quite honest with you. I'm sorry.
Well, it's just your craft is the singer-songwriting, but yet you've also got to worry about how you get your name out there and run different facets of that. So how do you market yourself, I guess, would be another way to approach it.
Sure. Mostly Facebook has always kind of been my jewel, Facebook's kind of what made my start. Instagram, I post on there as well, but I don't know how the hashtags work.
Right.
So I think I'm maybe my age is past the hashtag stage, so I keep it simple on Facebook. So that's pretty much where I market all my stuff. I have a business page on there and my personal page.
And word of mouth when people see and hear and share and things like that.
Yes, I've been truly grateful and fortunate enough now to where all my local stuff that I play, most of the time I'm asked to play versus having to reach out, which is a great pleasure. But to get shows, I still reach out to out of town, out of state, and that sort of thing.
Okay. Stephen, what do you do to market yourself?
I've been in practice now, as I said, 25 years, and 95% of the business that I have is repeat customers or referrals. Otherwise, my website, and shout out to the Rome News Tribune. We also do advertising through the Rome News. That's probably other than word of mouth, that's probably our number one source.
Now, you mentioned earlier that your bread and butter, I guess it would be the horrible way to say this, because you're dealing with real people and real problems, but personal injury tends to be a large portion of your business. So what can you tell us about that?
Well, it is the majority of my business. I think the biggest question we always get on personal injury cases is one, do I have a case? And two, what's it worth? There are three things that they taught us in law school you have to have a personal injury case. One, you have to have a negligent party that has injured you. You have to have damages, which those are often in the form of medical expenses, lost wages, pain and suffering. And what's overlooked most of the time, and probably the most important element, is you have to have someone who can pay those damages.
Right.
And we have some insurance, financial responsibility laws in Georgia, but as most personal injury attorneys do, I consider those minimal, and there's a lot of times not enough insurance to compensate people. So part of my job also is trying to tap into other forms of insurance and exploring other coverages, trying to get people the compensation they deserve for their injuries.
Yeah, you mentioned pain and suffering and things like that. When should somebody come see you?
I suggest they come as soon as they can.
Right, okay.
People often make the mistake of the insurance companies are usually going to be calling a couple of days after the crash because they want to get the property damage settled and stop storage and that type thing. But sometimes people are under medication. They're not thinking well. And what you have to realize is anytime an insurance company calls you, they're recording your conversation. And I've had many clients that are making benign comments that they don't think would harm them, but it winds up hurting their case down the road as far as liability or injuries are concerned. Also, the quicker we can get on the case, it's imperative that we talk to eyewitnesses as soon as we can and get their recorded statements. So most of my clients probably come in 2 or 3 months after the collision. I'd prefer they come in 2 or 3 days.
Okay. That's good to know as well. Have you handled any interesting divorce cases that might inspire TJ to write a hit song?
Well, that's one of the things about practicing law. Every week, I think I've seen it all, and I'm proven wrong every week. I haven't seen it all. Me and TJ could probably take a few minutes after here and whip out a hit song right quick. Need to talk royalties on my portion.
Well, speaking of songs, you've got a song out, Stuck in the Middle, TJ.
Yes.
And it's about it's about divorce, right? From the perspective of a child.
Yes.
Would you mind giving us a little bit of what inspired you to write it?
Sure. So, first off and foremost, because my parents will probably listen to this podcast.
Okay.
My parents are great parents. Okay. My parents are not bad parents. So if you watch the music video, I told them to run with it however they wanted to. So, but we all know divorce is nasty, and it doesn't matter how great your parents are. They turn into different people when they go through a divorce. And this song was inspired from me, kind of going back to my childhood and how I felt at that moment. So I'll just I'll sing a little line in the chorus for you.
Okay, thank you.
And every other weekend, my birthday and holidays, who's gonna get me from school? Who's gonna buy me something cool? Who owes who money? Who ain't cashed a check? And who won't give a damn if they ain't seen me yet? It gets old, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, sometimes I just wanna run away and hide. Don't put me in the middle of all your fights, and I don't give a damn who's wrong or who's right. I just wanna love you both the way you loved each other when I came along. Yeah, now if I could go back in time and rewind when I was little, oh, I'd pray to God I wouldn't be stuck in the middle. Thank you.
Very good. I think that encapsulates a lot of what I see in my practice.
Yeah, thanks
for here every day.
Thanks for cheering us up, TJ.
Thank you. I don't know if it's quite a cheery song or not.
No, that was beautiful, and you run into that. You put it into artistry, but it's what you deal with on a daily basis.
We hear all of that stuff every day.
So switching gears, how long does it take to go through that divorce process in Georgia, and you know, what are grounds if somebody does have a question about it? What information should they bring to you in a divorce consultation? Things like that.
Well, the minimum amount of time you can be divorced in the state of Georgia is 31 days after you file the petition. What people need to bring to me is one, we of course need to know when you were married and when you're separated. If you have any children, probably the most important thing is we need to have an accurate financial picture, which that is assets, debts, 401ks, retirement plans, credit card debt, hospital debt. We need to have all that laid out so we can give you a proper evaluation of your case.
TJ, how do you juggle your family life with your wife, 2 children, right? Girls, boys?
2 girls.
2 girls. How old?
My oldest one just turned 5 yesterday, and my youngest one's 3.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
How do you handle family life with a job and trying to do music as wide open as you can?
Well, I'll say first and foremost that my wife is not like any other wives out there. My wife's been truly supportive, and she was a valedictorian at Pepperell, so she's the smart one in the family. So if you look at my website, I didn't do that. She did. She does all my stuff for me, so which I'm very blessed. But as far as that goes, I mean, a lot of times I don't play as often as I did. I traveled as far north as North Dakota and as far south as Key West. From January to June this year, I kind of went everywhere, and that was pretty tough being away from them for long periods of time. I think I was home 15 days during that course of time, and it was really hard to juggle at that time. But I kind of brought it back together and said, you know, if I come back home, obviously got to pay my bills, keep my lights on, and just play here kind of local every now and then. That way I can have a family life and a music life at the same time until I'm able to put them in the tour bus with me instead of the van that we drove.
So. Understood. You know, even Elvis Presley started in a car with 3 buddies. So no telling where it can go.
Yeah.
You have an event coming up soon here in town, right?
Yes. The Brew House on November 23rd.
Okay, so go check out TJ Cochran there. Back to you, Stephen. I'm trying to logically flow from his songs the way it takes me back to your law practice. Juvenile court. You also handle cases there, and what challenges does that bring you?
We do. I've been that was one of my first revenue streams when I started out as a young attorney. We could take appointed cases in juvenile court, and it was a way to pay the bills. And I've enjoyed it, and have a reputation kind of as being the juvenile court attorney here in Rome. And there are two types of cases in juvenile court, which the first is delinquencies, which basically is any case that if it was committed by an adult would be a crime.
Right.
And
okay.
we represent families and children in those matters. And the second is dependency. And basically dependency cases are the legal definition of a dependent child is a child that is without proper parental care and control, which in layman's terms means they're not taking care of their children, and the Department of Family and Children Services has to get involved. The main cause of that in our area is usually drug use or mental health issues where the children are not being properly cared for.
Did you always want to be an attorney? I mean, it's the family business, but did you have a choice or?
Well, I don't think it was the first choice of my father or myself. My father actually retired from Atlanta Gaslight Company.
Okay.
And went back to law school later in life. I think he's only been practicing probably 8 or 10 years longer than I have been. And I worked at a freight company and throughout college and law school, and wanted to get into management with that company, and got passed over for a promotion. And
so you said, I'll sue them.
Well, shoot. No. I said, well, I'll see if I can get in law school. That seems like a decent gig. And here we are 25 years later, and we're doing all right.
But TJ, for you, it was more of a passion from way back. You said you taught yourself guitar after one lesson, basically. Who were your influences? What were you listening to growing up? And
I have a lot of different influences. I guess probably my biggest influence of all time with music, and he's not even a songwriter, is Tim McGraw. Okay. He was the first country concert that I ever went to, and I seen all the people, singing along to his songs at the show, and I just, got chill bumps. It's like, that's what I want to do with my music, there, and that kind of, and he's always, till this day, even with his Spanish songs and all the crazy stuff that he's done, he's still my guy,
So you like it, you love it, you want some more of it.
That's right. Yeah.
I know a little bit about Tim too. So did the songwriting thing happen as you were growing up, or you mentioned Rome, Georgia, how that kind of popped into your head, mm-hmm. But so did you always want to pursue the songwriting too, or just the performing?
To be honest with you, I'm a very shy person, so I would probably take songwriting over performing any day, just because that's just I feel like you can be more emotional in your songwriting than you can your performance. I'm kind of learning the performance side of it now because I haven't been doing it quite as long. But, I mean, songwriting goes back to how I have my wife today. So I went to Pepperell, and I seen her. She was a freshman in the front office. I'm sure y'all know Miss Knight was. So, but she was in the office talking to her, and I said, "Who is that girl?" And they said, "Her name's Stephanie." I said, "Oh, great," So I thought, well, the guitar is good for two things. It's good for women, and it's good for playing songs. So I wrote my wife at the time. She didn't know she was going to be my wife, but I knew she was. I wrote a song called "If You Were Mine," and I waited, and she didn't have a clue. And I was real big into the FFA, but they had a thing at Pepperell in the chorus room. And I performed, and I said, "This song's dedicated to Stephanie Barwick," and her face just got blood red. And my face was blood red, too, because I was nervous. I thought she's going to think I'm an idiot, But I sang it, and so every story in my life can be put into a song, and I think everybody's can.
She was a freshman. How old were you?
I was a senior.
Oh.
Yeah, I was robbing the cradle.
Can you give us a little bit of "If You Were Mine"?
Oh, yeah.
Do you mind? This
Sure.
is what won you your wife.
Yeah.
Or got you started, I guess.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
How many years ago was this?
I guess I graduated in 2009, so about 10 years ago.
Yeah, okay, good.
I might mess up the chords. I ain't played it in forever.
Oh, I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
No, you're fine. If you couldn't be my baby, you see, I'd swim down the longest river for you and me. And I'd hold you tight through the night while you cried. And I'd do anything to say you were mine.
Wow.
Surprised I remembered all the lyrics to it. It's been a while.
That's pretty good for a senior in high school. It'd probably embarrass the heck out of a freshman.
Yeah.
If there were more love songs like that, you'd be out of business, Stephen.
That's right.
Hey, it's worked out because me and Steven's never met before, so me and her's still together. So.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So just, guys, as we kind of circle back around here, let's give everybody contact information again. And maybe just, first of all, final thoughts on the Rome, Georgia business community, what it means, Stephen, for you to be a part of this community and practicing here, things like that.
I love practicing in a small town. As I said earlier, we've had contacts here, my family, for generations. I just like the closeness of it. Everybody seems to know everyone. And I think it just makes life a lot simpler, a lot easier.
And your contact information one more time. You touched on something there that's going to help take us out of the podcast, but go ahead. Your contact information.
Phone number 706-235-0005. Website StephenVBennett.com.
And that's Stephen with a V.
That is with a V.
StephenVBennett.com. Yep. And you mentioned Rome's a simpler kind of life. Come on, TJ. Simple Kind of Life.
Oh, yeah. First song I ever had on the radio.
Can you give me a little bit of that first of all, your contact information, because
Sure.
This is going to take us out.
Okay. www.tjcochran.com. For booking, tjcochranmusic@gmail.com.
All right. And you just go ahead and thank everybody for listening. We'll give this about 30 to 45 seconds. And this is my Singer-Songwriter, Simple Kind of Life, yes. TJ Cochran. And thank y'all for listening. Go ahead, TJ.
We'd skip rocks down at Cedar Creek, swing from a rope tied to a tree. We'd pitch a tent in our old backyard and catch lightning bugs in a mason jar. And Daddy wore us out when we stepped out of line. Mama's the reason we bowed our heads at night. We sit around and listen to Grandpa's stories, stomping boots and slinging mud, a little rowdy but a lot of fun. Where your roots run deep, your stars hang low, a man's word is as good as gold. You nod your head as you pass by. It's a simple kind of life.
Thank y'all. We'll talk to you next time. Thank you, TJ. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you.